I stared at my laptop screen watching the numbers climb higher. Another $1 million day for my e-commerce empire. 5 years ago I started selling handmade jewelry from my bedroom. Now at 28 I own one of the largest online luxury marketplaces in the country. But my family still thought I was playing shop on the internet. The familiar chime of my doorbell interrupted my thoughts. Sunday dinner. The weekly ritual I dreaded most. I closed my laptop, tucking away evidence of my success. My parents didn't need to know about the 8-figure deals I closed daily or the 300 employees who called me boss. "Emma, you're late again," Mom's sharp voice greeted me as I walked into their suburban home. The same house where I'd started my business. The same kitchen where they'd told me I was wasting my life. "Sorry, had some work to finish up," I said, sliding into my usual seat at the dinner table. Mom's perfectly manicured nails drummed against her wine glass. "Oh yes, your little online shop. Still doing that, are we?" Dad didn't even look up from his phone. These days he was always distracted, worried about something he wouldn't discuss. But I knew exactly what was keeping him awake at night. His company, Anderson Manufacturing, was in trouble. Big trouble. Actually, I started then stopped myself. What was the point? They'd never believed in me before, why would they start now? "I saw Sarah from next door yesterday," Mom continued, serving the roast she'd probably spent hours preparing. "Her daughter just made junior partner at Wilson & Brooks. Now that's a real career." I pushed my food around my plate, remembering the acquisition offer I'd received that morning. $50 million for just one of my subsidiary companies. I turned it down, it wasn't enough. "When are you going to get serious about your future?" Dad finally spoke, his voice tired. "You can't sell trinkets online forever." I met his eyes across the table. "My business is doing fine, Dad." "Fine?" Mom scoffed. "Honey, fine isn't good enough. You need stability, benefits, a real office." "I have an office," I said quietly. "Your bedroom doesn't count, sweetheart." I thought about my actual office, the entire top floor of the glass tower downtown, with its view of the city skyline and a team of executives who actually respected me. "You know," Mom continued, warming to her favorite topic, my failures, "your father's company is always hiring in the mailroom. It would be a good start, give you some real business experience." The irony almost made me laugh. Dad's company was hemorrhaging money, losing contracts left and right. Their outdated manufacturing processes and reluctance to embrace e-commerce had left them vulnerable in a digital age. I'd offered to help months ago, tried to warn him about the changing market, but he dismissed me just like always. "I don't need a mailroom job," I said, standing up. "And Dad's company won't be hiring anyone soon." His head snapped up, eyes narrowing. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing." I grabbed my bag. "I need to go. Early meeting tomorrow." "Meeting?" Mom laughed. "With what, your computer?" I paused at the door, thinking about the emergency board meeting scheduled for tomorrow at Anderson Manufacturing. The one where they'd announced the company was on the brink of bankruptcy. The one where a mysterious investor would offer to save them for a price. "Something like that," I said, closing the door behind me. In my car I pulled out my phone and dialed my CFO. "Kate, move forward with the Anderson acquisition plan. And make sure everything's ready for tomorrow's meeting." I started my engine, glancing back at my parents' house. They had no idea that their little girl with her fake internet job was about to become their company's only hope for survival. Tomorrow would change everything. I just hoped they were ready for the truth. The Anderson Manufacturing boardroom buzzed with nervous energy. Through the glass walls of the adjacent waiting area, I watched my father pace back and forth, his usually immaculate suit wrinkled from constant fidgeting. Mom sat nearby, clutching her designer handbag like a lifeline. They still hadn't noticed me sitting quietly in the corner, dressed in a tailored black suit that cost more than their monthly mortgage. "The numbers are final," I overheard one board member say. "Without immediate investment, we'll have to file for bankruptcy by the end of the month." My father's face was ashen. In 30 years, Anderson Manufacturing had never faced a crisis like this. Their refusal to modernize, to embrace online sales and digital transformation had finally caught up with them. "The mystery investor's representative should be here any minute," another board member announced. "This is our last chance." I checked my watch. Time for the show. My CFO Kate walked in, turning heads with her confident stride. "Good morning, everyone. I'm here representing the potential investor. Mom straightened in her chair, probably noticing Kate's expensive suit and air of authority. Dad stopped pacing, hope flickering across his tired face. Please, he gestured to the boardroom. We're ready to begin. I waited exactly 3 minutes before making my entrance. Through the glass, I watched Kate set up her presentation, deliberately stalling until my cue. Then just as Dad started to look impatient, I stood up and walked toward the boardroom door. The click of my heels against the marble floor made my mother turn. Her eyes widened, confusion evident on her face. Emma, what are you doing here? The mailroom is downstairs. I smiled, pushing open the heavy boardroom door. Actually, Mom, I'm not here for the mailroom. The room fell silent as I walked in. Dad's mouth opened and closed without sound, taking in my presence at this crucial meeting. Before he could speak, Kate stood up. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to my boss, Emma Anderson, CEO of Lux Global Enterprises. Mom's wine glass slipped from her fingers, shattering against the polished table. The sound echoed through the stunned silence. That's impossible, she whispered. I took my place at the head of the table opposite my father. Nothing's impossible, Mom. Isn't that what you always said? Well, except for making money selling things online, of course. Dad found his voice. You're the mystery investor? Lux Global Enterprises, I began, enjoying the way the board members leaned forward at the mention of my company's name, currently valued at $2.3 billion, specializing in luxury e-commerce and digital retail solutions. And yes, we're interested in acquiring Anderson Manufacturing. $2.3 billion? Mom's voice was faint. I opened my laptop, projecting our offer onto the screen. Your company needs complete digital transformation. Your manufacturing processes are outdated, your online presence is practically non-existent, and your distribution channels are stuck in the last century. The board members nodded along. They knew I was right. However, I continued, your brand still has value. Your reputation for quality is strong. With the right leadership and proper investment in technology, this company could thrive again. Dad's hands were trembling slightly. And you think you can provide that leadership? I know I can. I pulled up another slide showing detailed transformation plans. My little online shop, as you called it, generates more revenue in a month than Anderson Manufacturing does in a year. We have the expertise, the technology, and the capital to save this company. The board members were practically salivating. My father looked like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. The offer is simple, I said, sliding contracts across the table. Lux Global Enterprises will acquire a controlling interest in Anderson Manufacturing. We'll invest in modernization, implement digital solutions, and integrate your production capabilities into our existing infrastructure. And if we refuse? Dad's voice was barely audible. I met his eyes steadily. Then you file for bankruptcy next month and I buy the company for half this price at the liquidation auction. Mom's face had lost all color. All this time, while we were telling you to get a real job. I was building an empire, I finished for her. One that's now big enough to save yours. I stood up, smoothing my suit. Take some time to review the offer. Kate will walk you through the details. I have another meeting to attend. Running a real business keeps me quite busy. As I walked toward the door, I paused beside my father's chair. Oh, and Dad, remember when you said I'd never understand real business? Shall we discuss terms now? The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers, contracts, and deafening silence from my parents. The board voted unanimously to accept my offer. They had no choice really. But the family dynamics? Those were more complicated than any business deal. I sat in my penthouse office looking out over the city lights. The Anderson Manufacturing building was visible from here, soon to be renamed Anderson Global Industries. My phone buzzed with a text from Kate. Final contract signed. You officially own 67% of your father's company. I poured myself a glass of champagne but couldn't bring myself to celebrate. My assistant's voice came through the intercom. Ms. Anderson, your parents are here. I took a deep breath. Send them in. They entered hesitantly, looking out of place among the modern decor and floor-to-ceiling windows. Mom's eyes darted around, taking in the expensive art, the awards on the walls, the spectacular view. Dad just looked lost. Nice office, Mom said quietly. Definitely not a bedroom. Would you like something to drink? I offered, gesturing to the private bar. Dad shook his head. We came to talk, Emma. Really talk. I motioned them to sit on the leather sofa. For a moment nobody spoke. The city hummed 60 floors below us. Why didn't you tell us? Mom finally asked, her voice cracking. All those dinners, all those lectures we gave you. Would you have believed me? I asked simply. You were so convinced I was wasting my life that you never even asked about my business. Not once. Dad leaned forward, running his hands through his graying hair. I thought I knew everything about business. 30 years running Anderson Manufacturing, and my own daughter outmaneuvered me completely. It wasn't about outmaneuvering you, Dad. I tried to warn you 2 years ago about the industry changes. I offered to help modernize your company. And I dismissed you, he admitted. Just like I dismissed you your whole life. Mom wiped away a tear. We found the Forbes article about you. 30 under 30. Your company's charitable initiatives. The tech innovations. We had no idea. You never wanted to know, I said softly. You were so busy pushing me toward your version of success that you couldn't see I'd found my own path. Dad stood up suddenly, walking to the window. I was wrong, Emma. So terribly wrong. I was stuck in the past, refusing to see the future. And the future was right in front of me, sitting at my dinner table every Sunday. We're so proud of you, Mom burst out. So incredibly proud. And so ashamed of how we treated you. I felt tears threatening but held them back. I didn't do this to prove you wrong. I did it because I saw an opportunity to help people access luxury goods they couldn't find locally. Every time you mocked my little online shop, we were expanding into new markets, helping artisans reach global audiences, creating jobs. And now you own my life's work, Dad said, turning back from the window. No, I stood up, walking over to him. Now we have a chance to build something together. If you're willing to learn some new tricks. He looked at me questioningly. I'm offering you the position of Vice President of Manufacturing Operations, I said. Nobody knows this company's production capabilities better than you. But you'll need to embrace change, modernize, adapt. You'd still trust me with that responsibility? After everything. You're my father. And you built a strong foundation. Let me help you build something even stronger on top of it. Mom joined us at the window. What about Sunday dinners? I smiled. Those can continue. But maybe we can move them to my place sometimes. And maybe we can talk about real things, your lives, my life, business, family. Speaking of family, Mom hesitated. Your sister's been asking about you. She saw the news. Tell her she's welcome to apply for a job through our HR department, I said firmly. No special treatment. Dad actually chuckled at that. You really are the boss now, aren't you? I always was, Dad. You just couldn't see it. We stood together, looking out over the city where my parents had once told me I'd never succeed. Their company's building stood as a testament to how wrong they'd been. And now maybe as a symbol of new beginnings. So, I turned to them with a slight smile. Shall we discuss those modernization plans over dinner? I know a great place. Your treat. Dad asked, a hint of his old humor returning. Well, I replied, picking up my keys. I did just buy a multi-million-dollar company. I think I can handle dinner. As we walked out together, I caught my reflection in the glass door. The successful CEO, the dutiful daughter, the woman who'd proven everyone wrong. But more importantly, I saw us walking together, finally as equals, ready to write a new chapter in the Anderson family story. Sometimes success isn't just about proving others wrong. It's about being strong enough to let them learn from their mistakes and grow together. And as I led my parents to my private elevator, I knew this was just the beginning of our new journey.